Welcome friends to another 40k video. Today we look at Azrael, Supreme Grandmaster of the Dark Angel, and when and what he underwent to rise to that position. First we look at the moment he first took on that role. He announces the last Grandmaster, Niberius, is dead. As leadership of the Deathwing was with Azrael, he temporarily steps into that position as Grandmaster. Niberius' Thunderhawk was shot down and he was swarmed and was the last to fall to the enemy. The planet is run by cultists, along with a mix of Night Lords. The angels under Azrael attack the keep, known as the Iron Stalagmite. Azrael and the angels battle through the keep to retrieve the fallen Grandmaster's body and the angel banner that was also lost. They see that Niberius is alive and was only captured, and at the heart of this, they fight the Night Lords, including a dreadnought, which Azrael defeats with the help of Belial. And it's here Azrael sees and realizes that the fallen Grandmaster is not actually alive, but his body has fallen under the hands of the ruinous powers, and he was being used as bait. Azrael says Niberius will have final vengeance, and he gives an order, an override code, to Niberius' Terminator suit. It took 3 seconds for the core of the Supreme Grandmaster's power pack to overload, too swift for the heretics to recognize what was happening. One moment they stood in a circle around their prize, trusting to their archaeotech and the Night Lord allies to protect them. The next, a fireball exploded from their captive, incinerating everything within a 3-meter radius. Flesh turned to ash, robes burst into flame, and reflective armor became glassy slag by the core detonation. The effect on the shield was instantaneous, and the last remnants of the shock wave passed over Belial and Azrael as a wash of heat and light. And with that done, the angels had completed their task, and we moved to Azrael's ceremony to permanently be elevated to the position of Grandmaster. Azrael finds himself beneath the Tower of Angels, and he must prove himself through the ritual that he can become the leader of the Dark Angels. Accompanied by Ezekiel, first he steps into the corridor of shadows, where as soon as he does, there was no light, and he could see very little distance, and he wondered what technology could do this to an Astartes. Then, as if a switch had been hit, he was back in the light again. With Ezekiel, and a banner was before him, of the angel of death. Ezekiel speaks. "This is the portal of penumbral sorrow," Ezekiel said quietly, motioning towards the heavy door opposite Azrael. "The light becomes darkness. It is the boundary between what was and what shall be. To step through is a declaration of your intent, and move from the past to the present, a moulding of the man you are into the man you must be." As before, the lintel was carved with old letters, so worn now that Azrael took a few seconds to decipher them. Bring of the light, cast the shadow. Azrael felt this duality describe the role of Grandmaster, and Azrael stepped through a door into a shadowed room. He thinks they must near the heat exchangers of the rock's plasma core, and enters some sort of meeting chamber. And there, Grandmasters and chaplains and librarians enter, with a watcher for each as a herald, and starting with Samael, commander of the Raven Ring, who says, "One has come who would seize the shadows, one has come who leads the shadows," and this pattern is repeated with Ezekiel, and Azrael blinks, and the chamber changed. The wall before him was an archway. 2 dreadnoughts flanked the arch, and Ezekiel says they are the wardens in white. They are called Hope and Despair. He's handed the sword of secret he thought lost on the planet below, and steps through, and he found himself on the ramp of a rhino, marines fighting around him, the ice fields of Sulu, and he sees himself fighting. He's told he will witness a moment of weakness, and Azrael says it was inexperience. In this moment, he did not check the bombardment had been successful, so a missile did not eliminate a walker, which kills Brother Casper. The next scene is drop pods on Athenia 5, his first engagement. This time the voice says arrogance, and we see him look at the banner, and the voice says, "This shows ambition." Azrael says the past is set, and it's the war before him that he must win. Next is the fight he does not remember, which shows him 2 war bands fighting, and then 2 more groups of wiry youths join. His first battle, he uses the bone axe. His opponent is about to kill him when another knocks her out with a rock, and after she is down, he raises up his axe to finish off his potential opponent, and the voice says there is no honor in her death, but then it fades, and he does not see the outcome, but wants to know. He is then before a watcher in the dark who says, "These your doubts, hesitation, arrogance, mercy? These are my sins, which I'll be judged by." Azrael responds, "We do not judge, we watch." The watcher finishes, and Azrael tried to approach them, and he appeared back where he started, and they would not answer him, and he realized this was a test of patience, and then he wonders if he has failed the test and says, I am not infallible. He could only live for a few days without water, even with his enhanced Space Marine physique. He wondered if the blade would be a quicker end. He asks how long he has been here. To the darkness. Are his questions evidence of his arrogance? And he looked at the sword of secrets and its edge. He sees he's haggard, and he has been here far longer than he realized. Or was it madness eating at his mind? And the watchers were still there, and he would not give up. He thinks on this situation. He sees the vision where his doubts come from his past life, the worst part of him, and he says to the watchers, they keep him true to the cause, these things he has done in the past. And he shifted place again. He's before a tapestry of the angel of death. There were more around him. Repeatedly he is asked who he serves, and is about to answer when he is attacked. It was one of the angels of death, looming large in the centre of the chamber, its ornately hilted sword gripped in two skeletal hands, a yawning black emptiness beneath the rippling hood of its dark green robe. White wings quivered behind him. He defended himself, and is still asked by the voice who he serves. One answer he gives is the Emperor. This does not seem to satisfy. As another angel attacks, its sword cuts into it, but it meets no resistance. He's asked again and saves the Space Marines, saves mankind, and a third apparition joins the others, leeching his strength, wearing down his resolve. The fourth angel of death came at him directly from behind. Azrael threw himself at one of the others to avoid being speared in the back, shoulder charging the spectre with a roar. Cloth fluttered around him, its touch oddly delicate amidst the fury of battle, and then he slammed into the wall behind. Meeting hard stone at full speed, he is rebounded and turned, lifted up. His weapon is in a wild defence to catch the crossguard of a descending blade. Whom do you serve? Sword locked with the apparition of the angel of death, he stared directly into the fathomless depth beneath its cowl, seeking some light, some indication of what it was, what it wanted of him. The dark angels, he says. He pushed with all his strength, dragging his blade free from the entanglements of the ghost sword. I serve the dark angels. As swiftly as they had manifested, the angels of death retreated to their banners, becoming one with the woven cloth in seconds. Panting, Azrael regarded them warily, flexing his fingers as life returned. The pain in his shoulder subsided, and his heart slowed from their frantic thrashing. Something had engaged, and it took a moment until he saw what it was. Where before the embroidered figures had held their blades with the point to the ground, they were now upraised. The angels of death saluted him. He moved to a door and sees a copy of himself, who asks him, then answer the question, what is it to be the Supreme Grandmaster of the Angels? Azrael speaks with his doppelganger going back and forth, and his final answer is that it is the hunt, and that he will unite the unforgiven and end the hunt, and restore the honour of the angels. Things shift, and the 12 members of the inner circle surround him. Praise Azrael, they intoned, Supreme Grandmaster, Lord of the Angels. Ezekiel straightened, but did not stand. My lord, you have passed the trial of the catacomb. You are the Supreme Grandmaster, Commander of the Unforgiven. Your word is law. Your oath is our honour. We are your servants, as you are the servants of the chapter. What would you bid us to do? Azrael says he will think on this, and goes to his chambers to take in what he's experienced. And that, friends, with the elevation of Azrael to Supreme Grandmaster of the Dark Angels, we end today's video and wrap it up. What do you think? It's a pretty cool piece of lore. I enjoyed seeing the induction, we'll call it, of Azrael into that position. Let me know what you think. Any video ideas you'd like to see me look at? I'll think about it. Drop me a comment down below.